Good morning, brothers and sisters. Today is October the 3rd, 2017. I'm just going to first and foremost say this is a little bit different for me to have to speak in regards to something so very personal in regards to what I'm going to touch on today. Okay, so last night, and this is in regards to the recent shooting in Las Vegas. Okay. So last night I had asked the Lord in prayer regarding this Vegas shooter, okay, Vegas shooter, one singular shooter. He showed me a vision last night of this man, and it was the picture in the press that's portrayed of him and an Asian woman next to him, okay. Now her face was blurred out, okay. But the Lord showed me it, and he showed me it as if plainly telling me, you know, that this was not just one person, okay? He gave me understanding that he alone could not have accomplished these acts. I'm going to get into the reason why. This isn't only about that vision, because the vision was just very short, and just his acknowledgement of what's really going on here. Now, I want to say first and foremost that this incident in Las Vegas, this what will be known up to date as the most horrific mass shooting. It is real. Yes, people lost their lives without a doubt, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Now, I'm just going off my notes because there's a couple of things that the Lord wanted me to point out. So, what he gave me understanding is that he is the fall guy. That part indeed is staged. There were multiple shooters, okay? This homeland-bred terrorism scenario that they're portraying, okay, there's a reason for it. It's part of their agenda, okay? It's absolutely and directly linked to the Soros communist group of paid puppets, okay? And we've already seen this. We've already established this in other scenarios, okay? And I'll get into that in just a moment. It also has to do with the elites' fascism agenda. And I apologize, I'm not really familiar with that word, but anyhow, which tends to be, the pattern tends to be to cause chaos, okay, create a boogeyman so that they can come in like superheroes and restore order. When in reality, they're a bunch of cowards, because they're doing this for their agenda. And the overall agenda, if you have not figured it out, or if you are not aware, the ultimate goal for all of this is depopulation, and it has to do with the Atlanta Guidestones. Okay? I don't want to get into all of that because I've covered it several times, but that's really that's really their agenda here, part of their agenda. And the reason for that is because these people that were killed at this event, they're literally, you know, they're nobody to them, unfortunately, as sad as it is. And so the amount of people that lives were taken in this incident, to them it's just a few people in the basket. And it's sad. And I do want to send out prayers of condolences for anybody who sees this, anybody in Las Vegas, because we have a lot of family and friends there. And we know a lot of people through business and things of that nature. But nevertheless, I'm on here to tell you that indeed it did happen. There's a lot of rumors on here, and that's just basically what they are. They're rumors. But we know that, in fact, this happened. And again, I'm going to get into that here. So now what's happening, what we're witnessing here is at a time when people are mourning and still searching for loved ones, because there's actually people missing from this event. The mainstream media has hopped on right away, and they're coming out saying that they've made this political, okay? Well, we ask ourselves why. Besides the agenda that I just mentioned, it's to and for the removal of Trump, okay? Because he's a tyrant. They're seeing him as reckless, okay? And what they're doing, if you've been following this story in the news, and especially not in the mainstream media, but with our family on YouTube, you will see a clear pattern. Okay, now what that pattern is they're trying to pinpoint it on Trump supporters, that they're the ones who instigated this, when in reality it's not them. It's the elites, paid puppets that they pay to show up at these, events, protesting and doing stuff like that. We've seen it before. Okay, now the objective here is not only the overall objective is the depopulation, which that's blatant right in our faces with the Atlanta Guidestones. However, on this particular setup, this staged event, okay, it is a staged event to a certain extent, but there were people who were killed. I want to make that clear. That's not made up, okay? It's to remove Trump, okay? It's to remove Trump and blaming therefore his supporters that basically he's a bad apple and he's causing the other apples to spoil. His supporters are just like him basically, because they think the way, it's too dangerous for his supporters to think in this manner also. Okay, now in previous words that I've had to speak, the Lord had shown me, and this is very important. Okay, I really need you to lend your ears to this, because it all falls into what the Lord has recently had me speak of in regards to the United Nations. And if you are watching these videos in real time, but in consecutive orders, in sequential order, I should say, then it will make sense to you. Okay, so anyhow, the Lord has shown me that civil war would break out when this big tsunami came over New York, because I was shown in that vision of the angel, I was shown the words, the world's revolution. Okay, so the Lord is clearly identifying that the elite are just ramping up their agenda to get to that point, okay, which would include the removal of Trump, whether it be if they're able to do it successfully without harming him, or in past cases such as Reagan and John F. Kennedy, what happened when they tried to make a change. Ronald Reagan, they almost killed him. They attempted to assassinate him, and John F. Kennedy, they ended up killing him. So it's really important that you understand just with those examples of really what's going on here. Now, indeed, the Lord had shown me this vision of the angel there in New York when this tsunami hits New York. The Lord has shown me bombs going off in New York. He has shown me that he's shown me missiles going into New York, and perhaps that's the enemy firing on us when we're already down. That's just what he's given me, and I've shared those openly with you. Also, I want to go over a couple of other things in pertaining to the facts of what I know, because, again, we have lots of family and friends there, but we've got business partners there as well. So it's an inside look as to really what's happening there, and not just rumor. Okay, so I'm going to go down a little bit more on my notes here, because I got to get into this, the facts with you. Now, once they're able to, however this lays out, however this pans out, what they're wanting to do is to cause chaos enough to where, gun control obviously comes up again. Again, it's becoming political of, oh, just take their guns. They're a bunch of animals. Just take their guns, even though, if they're legal or not, you just need to take their guns. Okay. So there's a clear agenda for gun control. Okay. But also, we will see here in the near future that it will be the result of the implementation and the justification of the United Nations, the blue hats. Look up these things. It's very important that you do this research on what the UN, how the UN peacekeepers, what their uniforms look like. They're in blue hats, okay? So, looks military, all of that, but it is the reason for it, and the Lord has shown me this several times, that the UN will come in and, of course, call peace and safety. There's nothing about peace and safety with these people, and you need to know this, because you need to get out of the cities. This is not to instill fear. This is to give you knowledge because of what the Lord has shown me and others as well. So please don't let these words from the Lord, please don't let them fall on deaf ears. Please, you guys, please. It's so very important. He's warning us for a reason. He's telling us as these things are playing out. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Let me just get past here. Now, the whole thing with removing Trump, we know because of what prophecy tells us, and we know because of what the Lord has shown several of his servants on the wall in regards to Obama. They're just going to pave the way for Obama to come back, okay? The Lord has shown me Obama as in a dictatorship position, so that's all I'm going to go there on. I've talked to you guys about that before numerous times. Now, getting down to what we do know personally, personal eyewitness accounts on this tragic day. My oldest son and I actually drove to Las Vegas yesterday to pick up my husband. Okay, he was out of town on business, and that's just what we do. So we went over there to go and pick him up, knowing that this had already happened. Okay, because we got calls in the middle of the night. We got, my other son telling us, "Oh my Lord, Mom, he was checking up on our friends and family there in Las Vegas as all of this was happening." Okay, so in short, my husband actually told us that he had contemplated staying at Mandalay Bay because we have stayed there before at company parties, things of that nature. Now, as he was contemplating it, because it seemed to be one of the most affordable hotel stays, he decided, no, I better not. I better just go onto the other side towards Henderson. Okay, now if you know Vegas, you sort of know that area. But as he was coming towards the south of the strip where Mandalay Bay is, he was able to witness, which he didn't know what it was, but he was able to witness the actual fire coming out of the gun. I believe it was an AK-47 is the most accurate description of one of the guns used, because they've said that they're now reporting there's over 47 for one man alone. Okay, but nevertheless, so my husband at that time seen what appeared to be lights coming out of a higher floor at Mandalay Bay. Okay, and this is as he's descending upon Las Vegas from California in a truck. And he decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go to Henderson, but he didn't know what was going on there, okay? And there's a reason for that. So he also was able to see that for some reason the lights went out what would have been across from Mandalay Bay, which, again, we're very familiar with that particular concert event because we're usually in the area for that event. So just to give you a background on that, okay? So my husband said that he seen that the lights turned off all of a sudden, which he thought was odd, again, not knowing what was going on there. On his way to the hotel to Henderson, he said that he couldn't stop counting cop cars. He counted over 50 cop cars, okay? So, or what he believed to be 50 cop cars, I should say. Now, again, we're very familiar with Las Vegas because before we moved to Hawaii, we lived in Las Vegas. Okay, our kids attended part of their schooling in Las Vegas. Okay, so we have longtime friends, not people just, that we just met a couple years ago. We have longtime friends that we were genuinely concerned about and family members that live there to this day. Okay, now, we found out immediately afterwards from our youngest son, 'cause he started checking up on everybody that he knew there, and he was checking up on them on Facebook, and everybody was checking in on Facebook to say they were safe. We were doing literally a family and friends roll call, and some of them were saying, what they seen, but they were there and they physically seen people being shot. Okay, so and all this blood. So this tragedy is indeed a tragedy. It was not staged. It's not something that we can say, oh yeah, you're going to see these people alive later. These people, the ones that were killed, okay? They were killed, and I'm praying for their families, and it's just a really sad thing that our government is involved in this, because it's the elites, it's the Soros, that whole group of the communist protesters. That's all funded by Soros, guys. It's all funded by Soros. Nevertheless, please make no mistake that this tragedy did happen, but it was not from the hands of one 60-plus-year-old person who had never been in trouble with the law. And that's what the Lord showed me last night. It was almost like he was telling me it's obvious that not one person could have done all of this. Okay? Now, another thing is what I'm going to get into of immediate proof afterwards. Okay? Now, things don't add up. We know this. Okay? Initially, over the dispatch there in Las Vegas, there was multiple shooters announced over dispatch, spanning from Mandalay Bay up to the New York hotel. Again, if you're familiarized with that span, that's a long block or two. Okay. Another thing is, this morning when we were watching the news, we seen the news live. There was only one broken window, as opposed to what's being shown out there of two broken windows. That shows that literally it wrapped around the corner of the building. That means that's potentially set up. That's staged. That's copy and pasted. Okay, because we seen live coverage and it was only one window that this person was shooting from, or one person supposedly. Nevertheless, there's also reports of what's been described as two Mexican people, about 5 feet tall each, and that they had approached the front of the stage and had told a girl that they had pre-warned some of the concert goers 45 minutes before the shots rang out that they were all going to die. Again, it doesn't add up. How would they know that? Okay? And they haven't found these two people. Okay? What's really strange about this, though, I'm going to tell you something that I wasn't going to include here. And I just don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but when we were heading to Vegas to pick up my husband, my son almost hit a couple on the highway, because this couple had somehow lost the bumper of their car, and it was a gray car. It looked like a Mazda, and they were both Mexican, and they were both about 5 feet tall, which I thought was really weird because I didn't find out that until later. But the guy, we don't know what was up with him. He looked very agitated, and he actually almost ran out in front of our truck. So I don't know if that comes up later. I don't know, but it was just very odd. It was very, very odd. So I'm just letting you know that. Now, also, Dabu 777 actually reported yesterday that he had received a questionable memorandum by somebody there in Las Vegas. It was issued out by the food industry union regarding a mandatory, it was some kind of, how can I say, I can't remember the words that were on it, but it was some kind of mandatory paperwork that union workers had to fill out in case that there was some kind of terrorism act. This was on September 30th, okay, so very odd indeed. There's something up with that as well. So just things that you want to look at. Now, what also came out of this was Antifa. Okay, Antifa paid elite puppets is basically what this is. Again, the elites, the Rothschilds. You all know them. You all know them, and their links to Soros. Okay, Soros, the big money guy, and he's paying all these people to protest and cause chaos. Okay. It says here that obviously they had to do with the Charlotte, San Bernardino, and Boston, tragedies. But if you look at the, I believe it was the Boston situation where the two brothers' parents said, and to this day say they had nothing to do with this, that they were framed. Okay, I don't know if that's true or not. However, now they're framing this one person, this 60-plus-year-old person, to have done all of this. It's It doesn't add up, guys. It just doesn't add up, okay? This is common sense. This isn't just guessing. This doesn't add up, especially when the Lord shows me that this guy could not have been the sole perpetrator of this, okay? Anyhow, so as far as Antifa, what is Antifa? Okay, because this is a connection to Antifa. Antifa is short for anti-fascism. Okay, the term is used to define a broad group of people whose political beliefs lean toward the left, often the far left, but do not conform with the Democratic Party platform. Okay, now somebody on the official Antifa Facebook account immediately posted, and it was out of Antifa Melbourne area, and it was uploaded to Facebook congratulating this Stephen Paddock, this Lone Ranger, and the Las Vegas Antifa chapter on the carnage and bloodshed, stating, "One of our comrades from our Las Vegas branch has made the fascist Trump-supporting dogs pay." So again, you can see clear indications of the elite's foot in it, Soros' hands in it, and, you know, his communist puppets. They're all involved in this. You know, they've had stuff in the past. One in particular was the women's movement back in the 70s. I don't even think I was born there then, but they're connected to that as well. One thing very important that we need to all be mindful of is Antifa is planning a staged event for November 4th, 2017. They're planning actually what they've called and deemed a communist revolution, and the vision of, well, excuse me, and I had actually added the notes about the tsunami vision that the Lord had given me. So this just coincides with their plans, and that they even use the words communist revolution when the Lord had given me the words on the screen when I received this vision, the world's revolution. So whether it comes to pass that the tsunami and the November 4th situation happen, you know, days apart or even on the same day, we don't know, but they're things to be watchful for. So this isn't to date say anything, okay? But just to give you a warning of these things as we see this unraveling. And lastly, I want to point out that, yes, it is reported at about 58 people were killed and 500 plus were injured, but only a few were reported as being in critical condition. I want to point out, too, that two of my son's friends were shot. Okay, so that's how I know, indeed, that this is not this is not false. This is true, and people lost their lives, and we need to pray for their families. But nevertheless, blood donations by the Red Cross, again, the Red Cross, FEMA, NASA, all of them, they're all in cahoots with this. Red Cross was collecting for a certain amount of persons, to cover a certain amount of persons. People were lined up around the corners, readily and willing to donate blood, okay? Because the citizens of Las Vegas, and even tourists, they all came together helping to get these people the help that they needed to get them to the hospitals, things of that nature. Nevertheless, they were all lined up. Now, they had already met their goal. But Red Cross announced publicly, they said, "Don't stop, keep them coming." So my question then became of, if they already got their supply of the blood that they needed for perhaps the people that were in critical condition, which was only, I think, not even a dozen that were in critical condition that hadn't already passed, then why were they still intent on receiving this mass line of people to keep contributing and donating blood? So these are all things that we want to be aware of. So again, my heart and prayer go out to the people of Las Vegas, and that's very personal for us. But also people who had visited Las Vegas for that concert in particular. So just keep praying, stay in prayer. This is not a fear tactic. This is, you need to know this, and knowledge is power. Last thing that the Lord, and I'm going to go there because the Lord has pressed it upon my spirit. If you guys have spare Bibles, or if you don't, get more, because at some point in time, we're not going to be able to, and it is written that we are not going to have access to Bibles, just like in the book of Eli. So please store some Bibles away. And if you have your legal protective rights of caring to bear arms. Just be very wise on how you store those, because things are clearly progressing. They're progressing, and we need to be smart about it. So please, if you haven't inventoried and saved up water, drinkable water, please do so. We all know that warm wood will come eventually, and that will make the waters bitter, so you won't be able to drink water. And on a last note, if you can get iodine pills, get an emergency box of iodine pills. That would help too. And those can be found on Amazon, just so you know, or any surplus store. So I love you. God bless you. I'm sorry it's so long, but I had to come on. So I love you guys.